Hey guys, welcome back to Magic TV. My name's Craig. It's 9 o'clock, which means it's time for a Talk Magic. And I've done probably over 250 Talk Magics at this point on this channel. And this one is one that I've been looking forward to. And let me tell you why. I've seen this person perform many, many times. He is, in my opinion, one of the funniest comedy magicians you will ever see. He is one of the best kept secrets in magic because a lot of people won't know who he is. But by the time you finish this interview, I guarantee you're going to be a fan. He stars in West End Magic with Oliver Tabor. He has done so much within the community, and he has achieved so much. And I cannot wait for him to share his story with everybody watching. I am, of course, talking about my friend, the one and only Wayne Trice. How you doing, Wayne?
I'm fine. I'm not. I've got to live up to that introduction there, Craig. That's
True, man. True. I'm so excited about doing this. We've known each other for a long time.
We have.
And you are. I meant every word that I said. You're brilliant. You're absolutely brilliant. And you're one of those people who just kind of runs the gauntlet. I've seen you perform close up exceptionally. I've seen you perform on stage, and you can carry. You can perform to the biggest audience and having them, hold their attention, which is a difficult thing to do anyway. And also, I've seen you compare events over and over again, and you're an incredible compare. You just have this innate ability to be able to put yourself into any situation and do awesome, which is, I kind of think, what you need to be able to do if you're going to be a professional magician. So
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan.
I mean, that's amazing. Thank you so much. I mean, it's just I don't know. I just go out and do what I do, and that's the issue. I think is with I just don't know where that comes from. If that makes sense, it's not like something I've studied, or I probably have, but not studied. But it's innately sort of ingested it, kind of thing.
I know what you mean.
But yeah, I mean, I've been very lucky to have a wide range of experience.
You have
Doing
more
stuff.
than most, way more than most. And I want to delve into all of that. But for anybody who hasn't heard of you before,
Yep.
anybody who might not know who you are, we're going to start off, like I do with all of these interviews, we're going to start off at the very beginning. And I want to ask you about your origin story. How did you get into magic? Where did this all happen?
So I sort of do this in the West End Magic shows when I do a torn restored newspaper, because I think that is the first trick that I saw that, for whatever reason, sparked my attention. So I didn't get a magic kit as a kid. I didn't wasn't in a family of performers. I'm the first one sort of in my immediate family to do any performance of any description. But I believe it was Alan Shaxson. Now, looking back at all the footage I can find on YouTube, he must have done a torn restored and a drinking news, because that's what he was sort of doing at the time, I believe. But we're talking, probably late 70s, early 80s. Yes, I am that old, and I feel it often. Late 70s, early 80s. Alan Shaxson did that on TV, and I remember going out onto our landing. We lived in a maisonette, and we had the top two floors, and on the landing at the top we had all their old newspapers, and I was trying to work out how you could tear newspaper without actually tearing it or create the noise. And I was sitting there tearing up newspapers, trying to work this out. Why this stuck with me, I don't know, but that was it. And I failed, obviously, miserably. Mum just came out and said, he said it was magic. Like, thanks, Mum. And that sort of stuck with me. And I had a couple of, I would do card tricks like the four jacks, and there was another one that I used to do, but I can't for the life of me remember what it is. But a couple of those things you pick up that people show you, like grandparents whenever show you. But it was the show Illusions. For any of you old people out there that remember that, it was a kids TV show hosted by Fergus Roy, who I didn't know at the time, but had been married into the Davenport family and married Betty Davenport. And I found the book in the library. I used to go to the library quite a lot because we didn't have the internet back then, so I had to do other things. Nope. And found the Book of Illusions in the library, and Fergus, being the canny Scot that he was, had put the address of Davenport's magic shop as the last line of the page in the book. So the last thing you see is where you can go and buy your magic. Now it all gets a bit hazy. Now I think
How old are you at this point, by the way?
I think I was around 13.
Okay,
makes sense. Around age 13. So around the age of 8 or 9, I saw Alan Jackson do that trick, and then around it was, but it didn't sort of festered and sat and watching Magic. If it was Magic on TV, I had to watch it. And then found Illusion's book, found Davenport's, went up one on Saturday afternoon. Now I can't remember if I was on my own or if I had another friend with me. My dad used to be a school caretaker, and he said, well, one of the kids there was into magic, but I can't remember if that was when I was already going to Davenport's, or if that was, or if I went up. I've got a feeling I went up on my own first, which for me at the time was a huge thing because I was a shy, wouldn't say boo to a goose kid, doing okay at school. Not, I always the goody two shoes, would never go and do anything out of it. But to go up into a complete environment that I didn't know anybody was a big thing. I remember going up there. I do remember walking in, and Al Woodrow being behind the counter, lovely old boy. Used to work at Davenport's at the time, and I walked in. And for those of you that have been to Davenport's when it was around, mate, you just walk in and it's back in those days there weren't DVDs, there might have been VHS tapes, but it was Adbras. There was the only decks of cards you had were either Bicycle, Tally-Ho B, or Piatnik. That was not the range you have now. There were tricks and props in the shelves in the cabinets. And he said, "Can I help you?" So I said, "I just found you in the book." He said, "Do you like magic?" So I said, "Yeah." He said, "Would you like to learn magic?" I was like, "Oh," and it hadn't even crossed my mind. I was like, "Oh, yeah, I think so." And he said, "We'll come through." He said, "Because the door," he said, "just out there." He said, "We just started our Young Magicians Club." And I went
Wow.
through the door and found about 15 or so other young magicians around there. There was a couple of adults, I think, that the mentors. Peter did, a guy called Peter, I can't remember his surname. He was more of a clown, but he did magic. He did the Ambitious Card. I didn't know it was Ambitious Card. It's not the Ambitious Card behind the glasses. And that was it. I was hooked. And then it all goes hazy as to I think I just kept turning back up and met people. Found that a guy called Steve Majess literally lived on my route to the station. So the route I took to the station, I more or less walked past his house. So hooked up with him. And we used to go up every Saturday, 2 till 4 p.m. We'd go and watch magic because we had TVs out in the studio at the back. Talk magic, do magic. Obviously, we go and buy magic because we're attached to a magic shop. We'd eat McDonald's. You can tell which one I did the most of. And did that for about, again, timeline's all a bit hazy because I'm quite old and I've been asleep since then. So, but I reckon a good 5 or 6 years I spent just immersed in this Davenport's magic family, really.
Wow. And that must have, I mean, over that period of time, that must have really, because obviously when you first found that, you didn't really do magic. It was something that you enjoyed. By the time you finished it, you must have been, quite accomplished. You must have.
No, I wasn't. No, I wasn't. I wouldn't put. No, I was, but I didn't have. It all came back to an ongoing theme of mine, as you know, is I didn't have the confidence in me to go and do magic in front of other magicians. I couldn't do that. I do stuff in the class. I mean, they even said there was an audition process, and I seemed to finagle my way around that, and I had to do it one day, and I was awful, hated it, awful. But thankfully, because I was already known by then, it was fine. I could joke my way around it. But the Christmas shows that we used to put on for the public and for family and friends, and any shows we did for other magic societies like the London Magic Society, LSM, London Society of Magicians, who used to meet at Davenport's Magic Circle. We did a couple of shows for. I would never perform because I never saw myself as being in the same bracket as all these other guys. So I did I did a bit of stage managing and just looked after the stage stuff and organised that. But I think but the amount I look back and now the amount of advice that I heard given to others from Fergus, from the other performers, and just being immersed in that environment was amazing. Well, and did help so much. I think when he spoke to Oliver, I think he said said a figure. I think it's around 50 to 60% of the kids that went to that club now earn their living doing magic professionally, which I
Which
think
is
says a
insane.
lot for that club. It's amazing.
Well, actually, before we carry on with the story, here's a question. What advice would you give? There's a lot of people that watch this channel that are young magicians. I think everybody at the YMC watches this every week. Is there any advice that you would give a young magician, as somebody who was a young magician yourself? I mean, I didn't get into magic till I was 19 years old.
Right.
So is there any advice that you can give somebody who's a young magician that wants to ultimately, make a career out of it, or wants to, take it further, and they've just started going to the YMC, or, just started getting into it? Is there some piece of advice you can give them that would help them along their journey?
Oh, I hate questions like this. I think it would be to listen, to listen,
Yeah.
listen to, and ask for feedback. Ask for feedback. Take the feedback and think about it. That's quite hard when you're young.
Mm.
I remember Fergus giving, I can't remember who it was, giving someone advice on a routine, and we were like, no, I don't do it like that, no, no, no. And I sit there now doing the same thing. I turned into Fergus. It's I think, yeah, listen to feedback. Now, not all feedback is great feedback. Okay,
Hmm.
it has to be constructive. A lot of people go, well, that was just rubbish. Well, why? How can you improve it? If they can't answer how could it be improved, probably best to just take it on board, but don't give it too much heed. If they can give you advice and you can look at it and then go back and analyze it later, and just try and find places to perform as well. As you'll find out, I was really lucky to have an outlet for performance coming
Okay.
up, and I think there are less places to do that now. They still exist, uh, and I think my other bit of advice would be to go and do some acting classes, and and you'll see why that is in a minute. Or even just go and join an Amdram group or something, even a young Amdram. Even if there's some kids ones, I'm sure.
Yeah, there are. Yeah.
Even if it's now, go and do some performance, especially if you want to do stage stuff. Especially if you want to do stage stuff. Um, I think that's what I'd probably say.
That's really good. Really,
Don't know.
really.
Don't know.
I totally agree with you on all of those points. Absolutely 100%. So yeah, so you're now what, 17, 18 years old.
Yep.
You've been in the Young Magicians Club at Davenport for quite a while. What was the next step? During this, you said that you struggled to perform in front of magicians,
Well,
but did you have a goal to be a professional magician? Is that something you
no,
wanted to do?
no,
No.
never had a plan. Like most kids. Kids, if you're watching this, it's one of my bugbears. My wife's a teacher. My son has just turned 18, and you have to take exams based on what you want to do. I didn't know what I wanted to do at that age. It certainly was. That's a lie. I wanted to do drama at school, and for one of my exams, and I couldn't. I had to do French or German. I ended up doing German and failed that, but because of the way the timetables were worked out, and because you had to have a language when we were there, I had to take German. So I was like, and I only did GCSEs. I didn't do any A levels or anything. So not like my son had to go through A level. Has to go through A levels. So I left school at 17, as you did. Didn't do any A levels. There was a notice board in the school that said Barclays Bank were looking for new people from school. Mum and Dad went, "Oh, that's a job for life. You should go and do that. It's well paid." So off I went and joined the bank. So I joined the bank, but I still went and kept up with the magic for a while. Because obviously I'm now 18. I'm now 17, 18. There's other kids coming through, younger kids, so we're not quite the same thing. And then the other thing that really helped was that I found Barclays Bank Dramatic Society. Excuse me.
I didn't even know Barclays Bank had a dramatic society.
I they They don't anymore. They still do ish, sort of, but it's no longer the Barclays Bank Dramatic Society. So this is, you've got to remember, this is back in the late 80s
Hmm.
when banks would have their own sports department. They would have their own dramatic society. They would have, sports pavilions, their own cricket team and stuff. It's, those were the days. That's all gone now. It doesn't really particularly exist. There may be teams amongst branches or about people that are still working there, but they don't have them. They don't actually have pavilions and stuff they can go and use. So I wandered up as an 18-year-old. My second time, I've wandered into a room full of people I didn't know and thought I always wanted to do drama when I was a kid. I'll go and join a dramatic society, and thought, well, this will also. I did have the thought that this would help with I can learn some stage craft, and they can teach me stuff like that. And I turned up. It was a lovely group of people. They were rehearsing a play. I think they were rehearsing a play called Move Over Mrs. Markham. Very of its time farce.
Hmm.
Very good show, but of it, you wouldn't do it now. Wouldn't do it nowadays. They were rehearsing that, and I sat there as a very quiet 17-year-old, watching and having a chat. And I said, why did you want to join? I said, well, I always wanted to do drama when I was a kid. Never got a chance to. And I thought perhaps you can help me with my stagecraft. I went, oh, I'm not sure about that. We do plays and things, so I was like, oh, okay, whatever. And I showed them a couple of tricks. So that became when I was the hobbyist. That became all the people that I would try all the new tricks out on. That I would go off and do them. That was my suddenly my new audience. And then stayed with them for 20 years, I think.
Wow.
2000. So no, hang on, no, 88, 98. So 12 years. Sorry, 12. I can't count. 12, 15 years. And I did everything. We did. My first role was 3 lines at the end of a 3-act play. I was the second to last person on the stage. I had to walk on, say 3 lines, walk off again. I made the most of it. Don't get me wrong. But it's a play called Plaza Suite by Neil Simon. I think they're just re-releasing it actually as a film, and it's 3 couples, and they're normally played by the same 3 people. So it's a businessman and his secretary he's having an affair with. There's a married couple, and there's, I think, is it a film director? And then there's an older couple who's at their daughter's wedding, in the hotel at their daughter's wedding, and the daughter's locked herself in the bathroom. And Dad tries everything from even going out on the windowsill and shimmying across to the bathroom to get her to come back in. And she comes out because Borden, her intended, comes up and goes, Mimsy, this is Borden. Call it. I'll see you downstairs. Walks off. And then she comes out. So Dad does all of this. Borden walks on, goes, call it, walks off. And out she comes. That was my first starring role. And it just went from there. I found I had a bug for performing, and I think that's a thing with me. I had a bug for magic to start with, but I've got a bug for performing.
Mm.
And I've done lots, and I think this has helped. I've done lots of performance stuff not related to magic.
Mm.
So plays, musicals. I've chaired old time musicals. I've done compared awards evenings, and I did all that for not just Barclays Dramatic Society going forward. I also then joined a company called Croydon Stages, who didn't do plays, they did musicals.
Mm.
And so I ended up doing that as well.
So what do you prefer? Do you prefer performing magic on stage, or do you prefer being a part of a production?
I don't know. I don't think I could distinguish between them. I love going out doing the West End Magic Tour at the moment. I love going out and doing that and standing in front of an audience and chatting to them and doing some magic. But I am. Do you know what? Since I went professional, I have suddenly realised how much I miss going out and doing a play, doing a show, or doing a musical, going out and sing a song and going to do musical theatre, and how much I miss that. So yeah, I don't know. It's very hard for me to split the two. I just see it as, well, it's probably, I hate saying this because it's just me going out showing off. Basically, that's what I like doing.
Yeah.
You know, I spent years not doing it, and um, now I do. But yeah, there's a whole that was my whole life sort of triaged into 30 seconds. But yeah, it
Wow.
was
So,
amazing.
so I have other questions. So
Okay.
you're at Barclays Bank,
Yep.
and you joined this dramatic society. How long did you do that before you became professional? Like, at what point did you? Because you said that when you left school, you had no interest in being a pro.
Yep.
What made you decide? You know what? I'm actually going to do magic full time. What led to that decision? Because again, I get so many people on this channel that say, I'm a hobbyist. I've done a couple of gigs, but I think I'm really good. I think I can make a living out of this. What advice would you give me? Like, so how did you go from somebody who never wanted to be a full-time pro, working in a bank, to getting to a point where you are now a full-time pro?
Um, the decision was sort of taken out of my hands. Really, it was quite handy. Unfortunately for you, I'm sorry about
Really?
that. Yeah. So I worked for Barclays for 23 years. Well, it's 23 years and 1 day. Not that I was counting, obviously.
Mhm.
Um, I did various jobs. So when I started, you had a branch of 16 people. So you used it with a bank manager, like who knew all the local area. And I watched over the years. I watched all that get merged. And I got moved around various departments. I was never particularly great in the bank. The admin. I was good at two things. The admin side of stuff, I was rubbish,
Mhm.
absolutely rubbish. Um, how I survived long enough, I don't know to this day. The customer service side of stuff, I was great. Talking to, as a cashier, I love being a cashier because you got to talk to people. It'll be a bit stressful, but I got to talk to people, and that's actually what I really enjoyed doing. So I sort of found then my little niche was actually interacting with people. I was actually reasonably good at it. Um, and then I went into corporate, which is another big mistake because it was mainly admin,
Yeah.
and I was really struggling. And I think I was probably on the verge of like not being fired. I didn't think they got to the stage where they couldn't fire you. You had to go through a formal process and all sorts. But I think I was on the verge of doing that. And then my boss came to me and went, I I think I found a job for you. So before the internet, there was stuff called we had electronic banking. So you had a modem that attached to the PC, and all their banking was held on the. It's very boring, but all their banking was held on the server, and they would do it, and then they would do all the banking on their computers at the desk, and they whiz it off to Barclays, and we process it, and that moves into internet banking. But because it was a computer program, you needed someone to install, troubleshoot, and train on that. So I'd taken on some of the installs some of the easy installs for the branches. I was sort of fairly tech minded, so I'd picked up this software quite quickly. So I went out and saw some of the customers that wouldn't get an onboarding team from the actual team. The branch were covering it, so I'd go out and do that, and then talk to the team in the office. And he came back one day and went, I was like, God, it'd be great if this was my job. And blow me, 2 weeks later, he came and said, they're asking for someone to do the job that you're doing, but on the business master team. I was like, no, really? He went, yeah.
Wow.
So I applied for that, got it, and that was the best. That was the last 10 years of Barclays. And I worked from home. I'd got a company car, um, and I would work from home. I'd go out to customers. I'd install, troubleshoot, and train on their systems. So it was like performing. Again, it was interacting with people, like performing, something I loved doing, something I was reasonably good at. Um, I also, because I had all the banking knowledge behind me, I didn't just come straight into it. I understood all the processes, so I could explain to the customer why things happened, or if something wasn't going right, why it wasn't going right, and how we could fix it. Um, the only downside was the office was based up in Northwich in Cheshire, which is about 20 miles south of Manchester. So but we had team meetings up there, and that was great. And then slowly, like the rest of all the other benefits, slowly things changed, and the main guy who was in charge of us, we were the little darling team that was making him look good. And then suddenly that it turned slightly, and he lost it. He went on to another project. I think he lost interest, and things started to get a bit worse, and it wasn't great. And then they started laying off people, and we lost a few people on our team. And I was on holiday. In fact, and I had to go on a conference call on holiday, because they said there's going to be redundancies, and I thought we're all going to be sacked. I thought they were just going to get rid of the whole team and move it out. In the end, they just moved. They just got rid of 3 people, but didn't replace them. Um, and then a few months later, my boss's boss phoned me. Um, it could have been one or two things. So what I'd also done was I'd also been the tech side. I'd also taken on a lot of the awards evenings, but I was doing the graphics and filming for. They did an awards evening for the Gadbrook Park, which is the call centre. So I did all the graphics and the filming for that for 200 people. Really enjoyed doing that. It was a stressful time, but really enjoyed it. Got a nice bonus out of it. Happy days. And so there was either some presentation he wanted me to do, or there was something else. And he went, right, Wayne, have you heard? He said, you don't know this yet, but we're about to lay off more people. Right. He said, we don't want to get rid of you, but you've always said that if the opportunity came up, you take it and go off and do stuff. I went, yes. Well, he said, we'd rather offer you the chance to take redundancy than give it to someone else and you watch them go out the door and going, oh, it's a shame it's not me.
Got you.
So he said, we can give you the figures. You're not obliged to take them. We just need an answer by tomorrow. It's like, okay. Well, it's better than one of the guys I know who got given got the call in the morning and said, we need your answer by this afternoon. So I had a bit more time.
Great.
And I sat there and I was like, having for years gone, well, if they make redundant, I'll go off and do this and that and this. And then suddenly I'm like, I don't know now. Do I want to? I don't know. And I thought, well, they'll never offer it again. The deal, every time the redundancies come out, the deal always gets slightly worse because they know that they will amend what they call the multipliers. And if I don't take it, I can't moan about, as I was a bit moany about the way the office were working. I couldn't moan about that because they go, well, we gave you the chance to go and you didn't take it. Yeah. So I checked with my wife, and she went, and she was very supportive. And so I said yes. And that was the start. I took about 6 months off, redecorated the office, what was my office for work, redecorated that. And then got the pay packet through. You go, wow, what a lot of money. And then 6 months later, you go, where did all that money go? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that's been the start of the trouble since then. But wow. But that's how. So the decision was sort of taken out of my hands. It was like an ultimatum. I suppose it wasn't because I still could have said no. But yeah. I think it was my 40th year. I think it was 40, 41. So quite late to take that decision. But I thought, let's go for it. Let's do it.
So was the decision, when you made the decision to leave, was it like, right, okay, I'm going to do magic. That's what I'm going to do now. Was that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so obviously I know you're busy, and we'll talk about everything that you do that's busy.
Yep.
And all the different things that you do. But was it a nerve-wracking time, like going, right, okay, I've got this guaranteed income that's coming in no matter what, but now I'm going to have to effectively run my own business?
Yes. And I don't think there was the support. There was support, but there wasn't the support that there is now for people running businesses. There wasn't quite that. I've watched all that sort of grow up over the last 15 years or so. Mm. Because somebody else managed my diary. I logged in and they said, where am I? They told me where I was going, what I was doing. I went and did it. Yeah. Unless it was completely wrong, because they were in Manchester, I was down south. They don't understand the roads. And sometimes I could have been waving to my mate Chris as we passed each other going in opposite directions on the M25 when we should have been going out the other way. But I basically had my diary managed and as you say, guaranteed income. I had sick pay, pension. I was one of the last to get a pension, thank God. And suddenly I wasn't doing that. And suddenly all those years of people going, oh, I really enjoy your magic. You suddenly realise nobody actually cares unless you get out in front of them. And then suddenly you've got to make it happen. And that's where I went a long, long way off track and down the line and all sorts of stuff. So it was the first year was fine. And then when I still wasn't making it work, that's when it gets tough.
Yeah.
Especially when you've got a wife and son.
I can
as you
understand
probably know.
that,
Yeah.
as I know, yeah. But I mean, you did make it work. Like you are making it work. Like, how did you push through that period of time where you were like,
Oh, I you just have to keep going. You just have to keep going. Um, how honest and I mean, how far do you want me to go on this?
I mean,
Really?
it's your interview, man. It's completely. I just asked the
Um,
question.
right. So there's a couple of things I want to before we get that far. There's a couple of things I just want to go back on. If we just for the
Yeah, of course,
sake of the state, is that okay?
absolutely.
Because I want to give a bit of bit of I can't think of the words this morning. It's one of those things. So I did Barclays Bench Strength Society. I just want to fill in this bit because it will make sense down the line.
Yes, of course.
So I did Barclays Bench Strength Society. The thing with Barclays Bench Strength Society is we built our own sets. So everyone, although you were the actor, you mucked in. So we had to build a box set generally, and you would go and decorate it, build it, and then I learned stage management. From there, I did lighting, I did sound, and I learned from sound from a guy that used to run hospital radio, used to do splice tapes as we used to do in those days. And then I learnt lighting from the guy that was chief lighting for Barclays Bank's outside unit. So I learnt all that side of it. So I learnt all the theatre side as well as I learnt the technical side as well as the performing side.
Yeah.
And that also gave me a huge benefit in that whenever there was a panto, eventually I became the character that would talk to the audience. So that's where I learned I learned by doing. Basically, I had no choice. I was the person that had to go and talk to the audience, and then I'd get to do a trick at the end. So I had all this stage time. In all those years I was there, I got a load of stage time, which helped me. I think that it's where it came from. Helped me no end.
Yeah.
And then when I joined Croydon Stages, which was a musical society, although we were an amateur society, we're now working in a professional theatre with professional crew. The director, the musical director, and the choreographer were all paid roles, so they were all pros.
Yeah.
We were working with the pro backstage crew, the pro crew in the theatre, and we're talking like an average cost was to put on a musical, even an amateur musical where we were, was around at the time £30,000 to £35,000.
Wow.
As you had the sets, costumes, and we're talking flying flats out, big trucks. So I did a lot of performing there, but again, to help keep costs down, I thought there used to be a stage crew, but to help keep costs down, I started to muck in, as I do because I quite enjoy that, and I went and did all that side of it as well as perform on stage, and it was fantastic. To sing to sing with a live orchestra behind you is amazing.
I can imagine.
It's what I really enjoy. My proudest moment, I think, was we did a combined. There was us. There's those Croydon Stages. There's also a company called CODA, Croydon Operatic Dramatic Association, and we did a combined show with the two dramatic societies, the Croydon Symphonic Orchestra, and the Croydon Philharmonic Choir. And I got to sing Bouidoy from Miss Saigon, which is quite a hard sing, but good, but amazing song. And then at the end we did a Les Mis medley, and I got to walk to the front of the stage as the band struck up. I got to walk to the front of the stage and deliver the first, and it's like I get goosebumps now just thinking about that. I'm that sad. I am that sad. But it was an amazing experience. One I've always, and I got to play, all sorts of. I was never leading man material. I got to play with leading man once, because they were desperate. So I managed to do that. But I got anything goes. But yeah, I love stuff performance. So I just wanted to fill that in because we'll come back to it a bit later. But that's where I mainly got my performance side from, and also my technical knowledge.
At the very beginning, you need to go somewhere to get. If you want to perform on stage, you need to go somewhere because there's no substitute to flight time.
No, there isn't. No. And the compare stuff I learned doing old time musicals. So old time musicals were the Victorian shows of the time. You would have a chairman who was generally the guy that owned the place and who would book the acts.
Yeah.
And he would talk to the audience and then introduce the next act. We used to have a guy called Del Harmon, So if anyone watching Strictly, going to date this now, I'm afraid, but anyone watching Strictly at the moment, Nigel Harmon, who's in it, who was in EastEnders and lots of other things, it was his dad that used to chair our old time musicals. And then suddenly one day, I mean, he was quite old when I met him, and suddenly he passed away one year, and we were due to do an old time musical. And we were like, oh no, who do we get now? And they threw a couple of options around, and Briar, one of the ladies in the society, went, well, who was directing it, went, well, Wayne could do it. I was like, could I? I don't know. I don't know. I've watched him do it a few times. I said, no, sure, it'll be fine. And there's a couple of books written by a guy called Michael Kilgarriff that has a lot of period correct jokes and references and song intro. There's a lot of song intros for the time. So we found out what we were doing. I scoured those, put in a bit of magic, and then I became the chairman for the. So I would stand at the front. I was the person that would introduce the whole thing. I would introduce the acts, make comments, have to interact with the audience, and again, just so much flight time. So lucky. The worst bit about that was the first week that I did was also the week of Dell's funeral. So on the Friday afternoon, I went to his funeral, and then that evening I had to go and do chair. I was had just seen the man off and pay respects, and then I was stood in what was his spot with a lot of people going, oh, where's the old man where's the old fella that used to come and do this? You'll find out later. And they were big shoes to fill. I can tell you. They were big shoes to fill. But I managed it. I got through. It was hard. I learned loads just by doing, because I had that chance to do.
And that's incredible advice, which is put yourself out there in any situation. Any experience on stage is better than nothing.
Oh, exactly right. You'll learn all about. I've just been to see Operation Mincemeat, and this is probably going to be controversial. I enjoyed it, but one of the leading woman, I think I would call the leading woman, who also wrote it, irritated me slightly because she was constantly mugging off to the audience and giving little looks and stuff. And one of my friends said, "Oh, it's because she's portraying a bloke who's quite confident." I said, you can do that, but without mugging off to the audience. But it said in her bio, such and such refuses to be trained, and I went, yes, and it shows. I've just become a grumpy old man. And yet the best performance is the guy that plays the secretary. Stone cold silence in the audience as this guy delivers. There's a song he delivers about lost love and it's a stunning piece of performance, and he'd been trained, and it's like you could go, you just want to pick her up and go, look.
Yeah.
Just go and So that's why I go back about the advice as well. Although you should go out and do it, please just listen to people and listen to, especially those that have gone before. Okay, It may not sound great advice at the time, but there's probably a reason. Now, not all advice is good advice, but just you learn to filter. So yeah, that's so yeah. So going back to the other times, now we've filled the happy place. It's good. So I'm okay at magic. I'm reasonably okay at magic. What I found was after I left the bank was I was reasonably okay at magic. I was rubbish at marketing and business, because that's the admin side of stuff.
Yeah,
and that's
to be honest, there's a lot of magicians like that.
Yeah.
They aren't very good at the business side of things, and unless they find an agent that will give them all of their work, you can be the greatest. I've seen people that are just technically amazing, but they never work because they don't understand the other side of it. So I totally understand where you come from here.
I also think, so you bring up an interesting point there. I am not technically gifted in any way, shape or form. However, I do have a quick gob.
Yeah.
Which saves my bacon on many occasions. So yeah, don't worry if you're not technically gifted. Just work on your personality and your stagecraft, because that will get you a long way. Oh, there's something I'll come back to. Let's get through the Drury stuff first, and then I'll come back to something else I did that I often mention that I've forgotten.
Okay. Yeah, definitely.
But let's get through the Drew stuff first. So the Drew stuff is basically, I was rubbish at marketing. I would go to networking events, not get any work. We went through some tough times financially. We're still not out of the woods yet. Like you, my wife's a teacher, so she's carried me for the last God knows how many years. I mean, how I'm still married to the woman, I've no idea, because any sane person would have thrown me out years ago. And I'm just terribly grateful that she didn't. And I'm still not great at getting those gigs. And I think,
I
yeah,
think the
but there were
hardest job
times
in the world.
there
I
were
think the
times
hardest job
when
in
I
the world is.
yeah
No, go on. I was just
there were
going to say. I
times
was.
when
I
I
was.
was just sitting there in tears. A mate of mine came. I just phoned up my mate to ask some advice. Broke down, and he said, "I'm coming around." And I did job in a pub because I did some pub work while I was at Barclays as well, so on the side. And I loved it. Again, it's interacting with people. So I need to get. That's what I need to do. I need to get out in front of people. I'm good at interacting with people generally, and but the pub trade had gone into 0 hours contracts, so you were getting calls at I think I was on a shift. You get a call an hour before, or going, we don't need you today. We're not got that many customers. You go, and you got to get changed, and that's your day gone really, because you've got yourself ready. You're going to go out and do that, and then you can't. It's to switch back. I was really bad at that, so it was some tough times. Really tough times. I getting on the bus and having to get off the bus because your car doesn't work, and walk in places because you can't put petrol in the car, or the wife will need the petrol to get to school, so I can't. I'm going to have to walk up the road to walk everywhere, which is great for your health, but not great for your mental health.
I
So
think
there was been
important that people hear this, because I think sometimes the option of being a full-time pro is glorified as you can sit around all day and just make a fortune going out and doing the odd gig or two. I interviewed Graham Shaw a couple of years ago from Magic Box. I don't know Graham.
I know of him, but I don't know him.
Yeah, so he works and co-owns Magic Box, and he's also a great magician. Like he was the 2019 Children Family Entertainer of the Year. He's very good. And I asked him about becoming a full-time pro, and he said, I would never advise anyone to be a full-time pro. He's like, I do lots of gigs, but there is no, if I stopped working at Magic Box, which is my full-time job, I would find another job. I'd never want to put that pressure on myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think
Yeah.
that sometimes people look at being a full-time pro as this amazing thing, but let's be honest, the hours are really, 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 really crap. Your social life is going to go down the toilet, and you're constantly either not got the gigs, or if you have got the gigs, you're having to hustle to get them, because you're having to learn about marketing and sales and admin and web design and SEO and PPC and all of this stuff that you don't expect to learn how to do as a magician. You have to learn how to do that if you want to kind of get ahead, because you need to embrace it.
Exactly right. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly that. Exactly that. I thought it went through my head then. I can't remember what it was. Don't know. Yeah, but yeah, would I recommend it? No, I wouldn't recommend it. I mean, but I will go back and say that the support network has changed. That has changed over the last 15 years, and there are now a lot more people out there and organisations out there that will help you with that and to move through that. Whereas I don't think there was a couple of courses you could go, but I'm not 100% sure they were that great. I also didn't take my own advice. I didn't go and listen to people. I didn't go and find that advice. I thought, no, it'd be fine. I'm going to go and say, everyone wants a magician. No, they don't. So yeah, been through some tough times. I've come out the other side, and I've got to, and I might as well put this in there, because the one person that has, I think, saved me beyond doubt, apart from my wife, who's managed to keep up. I mean, she's obviously number one. Number two is my son, obviously, because he keeps me. He's my reason he's the reason that I am still here. Yeah. And the next person that really is Oliver Tabor. If
you and
wasn't
Oliver,
for Oliver, it would have been. Yeah, I don't know what I would have done.
Well, you and Oliver are linked, and you know, through any struggles that you've had, you've always had that relationship with Oliver, and the two of you have always kind of almost come across as a team. And one thing that I've noticed that you do is you have multiple income streams. So it's not just the money you have as a close-up magician or the money you have as, you know, you mentioned earlier on,
Yeah,
you do conferences, you do acting, you do that sort of stuff, but also you've got West Coast Magic. So you've got all of this income streams from all these different places, which is obviously going to help
yeah.
when you know you have to survive purely off the gigs that you do. So how did you know you brought Oliver up? Where did that whole relationship with Oliver come from? Because you know West End Magic is now touring the UK. It's
Yeah.
doing incredible. You know, I mean, you guys are flying, and I've seen your show a couple of times. I saw it at the IBM convention. It was amazing. Like, where did this relationship with Oliver come from, and how did
So
that all
Oliver
come to?
is also a member of the Demon Club, the club that ran it back at the back of Davenport. So I think I was leaving, I was sort of fading away as he was coming in. So
Right.
sort of we had a bit of a crossover there. Then obviously I went off and joined the bank, found Dramatic Society, found alcohol, and other stuff. Not other stuff. Sorry, that sounds like I found, no. I only found alcohol and acting, but that was enough. And then there was a show. Let me think which order this is going. I can't remember which order it's going. There was a show at some point where they no, right, I think it was this way around. So first of all, I went back to Davenport's one day. I was on my way to a gig on the Thames. It was early, and I thought I'll pop into Davenport's just to see how things are going, see how things are. And Bill was there, Bill Davenport, sorry, and was chatting to him. He said, "Everything's going not great." I just started realising I could do kids classes, teaching like jumping rubber band and stuff like that, because they loved it, and I was doing that on a small scale locally. And he was like, "Oh," I said, "I really enjoy it. I think it's great teaching. I love doing that." And he said, "Well, interestingly, we've just restarted the Demon Club. So the Demon Club had fizzled out, so they brought it back as a paid sort of class. So it wasn't quite the same. You'd have the Demon Club in the afternoon, but there was more formal lessons in the morning." And he said, "It's between James and Oliver that run it." He said, "But we're looking for someone else to help if possible, because I can't always make it. Would you be interested?" So I was like, "Oh yeah, I'd love to do that. Yeah." And so I went and did a trial day with, I think it was with James, one day, and that was it. I was then one of the teachers for the kids courses. I went and helped out the magic on the adult course. Did a couple of corporate events that people wanted to hire the studio. And that's where, and then Oliver came in one day, was doing the courses, so I got chatting to him. And then there was a show, I might have got this wrong around, doesn't really matter, but there was also then a show Oliver was doing. I think he mentioned he did one in Deptford, which was like the old Demon Club shows put back together, and then they did one at the Players Theatre in Charing Cross, and I got on that one doing a couple of things. And then I did the one the year after, and I compared the first evening, but I'd had a really lot of stress at work. I mean, work was being horrible, and I died on my arse as compare. So you walk off to the sound, got an awful review, walked off to the sound of my own feet, and got an awful review afterwards. So I'm surprised Oliver still talks to me. And then I ended up doing more backstage stuff. So I said, I'd love to be involved with West End Magic. So I would go and run the stall at the front to help him out. Might do a bit of magic, close-up magic in the interval for people, because they already had stage crew. They AJ and Neil's name I can't remember, but they already had stage crew. But when Oliver also does the shows at his barn, the barn theatre he has on his dad's farm, and I went and helped do tech there, and got to know them, and just and then slowly got asked to do a spot in West End Magic, I was like, I'd love to do a spot one day. So got asked to do a spot one day and did a spot. And there was one day, so he used to have a different compere for every show. So he would top and tail, different compere and guest acts every show. And he said to me one day, "Would you be the resident compere for West End Magic?" And I was like, again, a bit like the redundancy. I was like, I don't know. I don't know. I'm not sure I can do that. I don't know. I don't. Now, since dying on my arse and getting there, I'd done all this other stuff with the dramatic societies. So I had all this extra experience under my belt.
Right.
And so I said yes, and that's been it. Last, I don't know how many years it is now, 4 or 5 years, 4 years. And I'm now the resident compere for West. Oh no, 3 years. Yeah, 3 years. Resident compere for West End Magic. So it runs. We sort of run it as a team, and it works quite well because I do all the talking. He doesn't talk at all. So actually, the flow of the show we're completely opposites.
Yeah,
Which is why it works.
It's the UK.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, Teller's the more talented one and I'm just the bloke with the big gun. It works wonderfully. But it does seem to work well. And then so I was doing that at the Leicester Square Theatre. We're doing show. Oh, that was the other thing. We're also doing shows at the Museum of Comedy, which is the sister theatre to Leicester Square. It's a little 60. They call it 80 seats. If you're 80, you are more or less sitting on each other's laps, I'm sure. So 60 seats theatre, little room, and we went and did shows there. I did backstage there for him, and then I did some spots, and then got up doing stuff. And I think it was from those shows that he said, "Would you come and do West End Magic?" So I sort of did the little ones. We used to do a workshop in the morning, then show in the afternoon, sort of cross sell the two between them.
Yeah.
And then we ended up going to York Fringe. He'd been there once before. We ended up doing York Fringe a couple of years, which was great fun. Doing the same show for. I think I did 11 performances in 9 days, which is good fun. And that's how it went from there, really. And then we just wife goes, I said, I need to phone Oliver. She said, you only spoke to him yesterday. Okay, I know, I've got stuff to sort out. So, and that's where it just sort of blossomed from there, really, and just went from there. And then we suddenly got an offer to take West End Magic on tour.
That's great.
Having done Edinburgh last year as well. I mean, it was just been that's all whistle stop. It's been whistle stop kind of blur, really.
I can imagine. Wow. And from a marketing point of view, having the social proof of being able to say that you're the resident compere on West End Magic, I mean, that's just an incredible thing to just stick on the website and just drop into conversation with people, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I'm in the middle of sorting out my website, and that's because that's all got to go on it now. Now I've got that bit. I've now got to crack on with that and get that, because as you say, social proof to say that I'm going out there in front of, I am the compere for that, is it's amazing. I still can't believe it. It's still lovely to walk into a theatre and see a poster and go, oh, that's a show that I'm in. Oh, that's amazing. Sit there and do that. But that doesn't, I don't want people to think. I've had a couple of people go, oh, I'd always love to do a show, and it's like, we didn't just take it and then tour it. That show has been in Leicester Square Theatre for 10 years. This is their 10-year anniversary, and it's built up from there. We don't really now have to market that show that much.
That's great.
It's astonishing, really. We can sell almost 300 seats, and we don't have to. We'll have sold, like the October show, we'll have sold 3 weeks after March. We'll have sold 2, 3, 4 rows of October will already be gone.
Wow. And
they're not always the same people. I always thought it was going to be the same people. So I do a hello to everybody, get them shout, to warm them up. And I go, hello to all those that have been before. And I expect a big hello back. It's like random people scattered around. I go, I don't understand how it works. I don't care. It's working.
That's the most important thing, right? And on the subject of West End Magic,
mm-hmm.
At the very beginning of this interview, that one thing that scared the living bejeebers out of you was performing in front of magicians. But that's something that you've obviously got over, because
no.
You end up, well, hang on, because West End Magic does get visited by a lot of magicians. I saw it for the first time at the IBM convention, where you were also competing in the stage competition and absolutely killed it. So I have proof that you must, and you didn't look nervous. If you were nervous, you didn't look it. And so you must have got over it, or you must have like pushed it to the back of your mind or something, right?
Yeah, that whole weekend came about because of Edinburgh Festival. So we'd had an interesting Edinburgh festival. I won't go into the whole story, but we got kicked out of our Airbnb on day 2. So we were just off to go and do our do our tech, and we were being thrown out of our Airbnb because the guy shouldn't have been renting it, according to Edinburgh City Council. So day 2 of Edinburgh, we were looking for new premises. So we found somewhere. It's not a long story. A friend of a friend of a friend had just lost his tenants had just come to the end of their contract. They'd moved out. He said, well, and a friend said, well, could they stay here? And he went, as long as they don't mind us popping in every now and again to tart the place up and what have you. He said, but there's 3 bedrooms, kitchen. We just fell on our feet. It wasn't a 5-minute walk. It was a 20-minute walk to the venue, but I was still not a 40-minute walk to the venue or a 20-minute drive.
Yeah.
Which was the only place left. So it was a 40-minute walk, 20-minute drive, and it was £3,500 for 10 days.
Wow.
Well, thankfully, yeah, the Edinburgh gods looked down on us and looked after us. It was 67 steps from the floor from the getting in to the house or to the flat. So I had thighs of steel by the end of the run, but it was lovely. So we were very lucky. So, however, so we had, I think it was just after that we thought, do you know what? We found a lovely pub down on the corner. We're going for a pint. After all of that, we're going to go and have a pint, just chill out before we start the run. 2 pints in. So Wayne, he said, oh, I've got something to ask you. I was like, right. He said, yeah, someone has dropped out at the last minute. I probably shouldn't be telling this, but I don't care. We can edit this out. Somebody has dropped out at the last minute for the stage competition. And if we don't have X number of performers, we can't run it. And he said, I really don't want that, especially since I'm taking over as president this year. Would you go and do the stage competition? I was like, yeah, whatever. 2 pints. Yeah, be fine. Not a problem. Yeah, whatever. Yeah. And then I suddenly went, what have I just said? What am I doing? I don't do magic for magician. I hate doing magic for magician. What am I doing? And then I think he mentioned that we were doing West End magic on the same bill. So like, but I don't do magic for magicians. So anyway, yeah. So that was basically how it happened. He said, well, you're in now, so you've got, and that's what we're doing. So I literally just had to crack on with it. So I did my standard stuff because I was in my head. I was there as a filler, so I wasn't competing in my head. And I walked out. I did my standard stuff, black white cow, which was just a nice opening, no magic in it. Ring on rope, standard stuff. Tournament Restore newspaper. Got off within my 10 minutes. Done. I'm deciding. I'm not going to say it. There was a bit of controversy in my head, but I'm not going to go down there because it's not fair. Because I wasn't there competing.
Yeah.
So, but it was all fine. So I walked out, got nice reactions.
Yeah, you did.
And then went and then had to go and do exactly the same act for West End Magic. I thought for some reason that was a really good idea. Having just done it in Edinburgh, and then walking out in West End Magic to do the ring on rope. I went to do the ring on rope, and the ring comes off the rope, and the ring got stuck on the. I've still to this day no idea how the ring didn't come off the rope. I did all the moves. I could see Terry Herbert sitting directly in front of me, going, "I'm about to do comedy magic in the front of a comedy magician legend." And I did that, and all I could see, he was in fits. I had Cammy Gibson and Elliot Bibby, who'd seen it all at the thing. They were in fits. I was like, "Oh, for goodness sakes!" But hopefully I styled it out. Again, Gob takes over. I'm not afraid to take the mickey out of myself. I think it's one of my good things, also one of my failings. And we got through it, and everyone seemed to enjoy it. But yeah, I'm not a magician's magician. Worse is I've now got to do this. West End Magic has booked us in to do it at the Magic Circle, and I'm like,
really?
Wow. What have you done?
Wow.
And I'm like, yeah, but oh no. So
I mean, that's a huge honour, though. I mean,
it's a fantastic honour, but they don't want to see me on
the website that's going to make people go,
Very
wow.
true. Very true. Yes, very true. Yeah, it's scaring the life. I mean, it's not. It's another month away, and I'm scaring the bejesus out of me already.
Wow.
Because, but I do wonder. I mean, and I'll give Oliver his due. He has said, "No, look, you've been stuck in." Probably will come on to this. But I don't know how long we've got for this interview.
As long as you.
Um, I've been up in the tech box for a long time, and I've been known for being on the tech for the Magic Circle now. And he said, He said it's about time we showed them what you can do performance-wise. But again, my own lack of belief or whatever in myself, I don't see that I've got anything special. I know I can do lay people's easy. Lay people's fine because they don't know. But I don't see I've got anything to. But then perhaps I have. Perhaps I've got that.
As
Perhaps it's the way
somebody,
I am on
and I'm
stage. I
not
don't
just
know.
saying this, as somebody who's watched you perform on stage, I think that your act is brilliant. I think that it's funny. I think that it's technically great. And you seem to have this innate ability to get people in the audience to listen to you within seconds. They're hanging off every word that you say, which is something that even some of the greats struggle with. And you have that ability to just walk on stage and within a few seconds everybody is just transfixed on what you say, and you can't teach that. You've either got it or you haven't. And as good as Oliver is, and I consider Oliver one of the best magicians in the world, you know, there's a reason why he performs silently. His magic is beautiful and everything, but I don't think he holds a candle to you. You try and make him you put him in a compare gig, he's not going to do it, right? You
Yeah.
have that skill that very few people have.
Yeah, and I don't know. And I really don't know where that comes from. I really don't know where that. I think it's just flight time, stage time, listening to people when they talked to me about going out on stage and what you do, and just I think it's just that I don't know. It's a very strange, and that hooks in nicely. So the other thing I did a lot when I was going to work, everyone else was listening to music. I would listen to comedy. So I would have everything from back in the 60s. There was a show called Round the Horn, which is a guy called Kenneth Horne, which had early. I'm probably going to say names now. Anyone at Young Magicians Club is going to go who, or anyone under the age of 40 is going to go what? But they had not Sid James, Kenneth Williams.
Yeah.
So I'd listen to that. I'd listen to Hancock. So Steptoe and Son, sort of Navy Lights, all the old stuff. But also there was Smith and Jones around. That's Mel Smith, Griffiths Jones. I'd listen to not 9 o'clock news. Rowan Atkinson used to do one-man shows. I can repeat. I used to be able to more or less repeat verbatim a lot of his sketches for one-man shows. I listened to Monty Python, Billy Connolly, Victoria Wood. So I had, if you looked at my tape collection, as it was at the time, it was all comedy, very little music. And I've never really had I like music, don't get me wrong, but I've never really been, I'm a Coldplay fan or Phil Collins or whatever. I just like, obviously I like musicals because I appear in them. But I've never really had a genre that I go to. And I think that helped me a lot because although I didn't know it, I was probably learning a lot about comedy just by listening to them and their timing and the use of space and the use of wordplay, and watching it on TV by 40 Towers, comedy cassette. If you looked at my VHS collection, it would have been mostly comedy. And I think I learned a lot from mimicking those people and just getting the feel for that. So I don't think I agree. I think I managed to keep a straight face when you said, but when you go, you're a funny magician. I don't think I'm a funny magician. I think if I can't write a joke. If you said come up with 6 jokes, I'd be lost. What I do know, I'm a bit like Eddie Braben with Morecambe and Wise. So if someone could write it, I know how it's funny.
Yeah.
If that makes sense, I know what the pacing should be, or I get a feel for you should say it like this, and then there should be a pause there or a look. There's a bit in the show at the moment, the touring show, where I do the suit jacket escape. I can't remember if I think I was doing then. I don't know if we did this the show, but we did suit, and I end up stuck in it. And it's always been a bugbear when I'm doing it on my own. I have to do the quick release and go thanks very much, and it's all a bit of it sort of I spoke to Ian Kendall about this, and he was like, "It's one of my bugbears here. You shouldn't get out of that." I go, "No, you're right. But when you're stuck in it and you're a one-man show and you've got other stuff to do, you can't. What else do you do?" So with AJ as our stage manager, I now call him on. I came up with this idea because it's behind my back. So I call him on. He says, "What's the matter?" I said, "Where's the keys? I haven't got the keys." I said, "I need help getting out of this." He said, "Let me have a look." And he'll fiddle around. And he gets his torch out and puts down. We have a bit, and then suddenly I'm free. And as I walk away, I'm free, and he's in the cuffs.
Wow, that's great.
But to make that funny, that requires not only do you need to see he's in the cuffs, but that then requires me to look back.
Yeah,
because I need to give focus to him for the funny part. So I walk away, go, "It's amazing! Look, I'm out." Then I have to stand and stare, and that's the extra laugh cue point, or that's the cue point for the laugh, because you're giving. That's what people have watched you walk away. You need to point them back over there, and you've got to hold that. I'm sure some magicians' performers will want to fill that with something. You've really got to fight that urge to fill it until you find that right moment. And you don't. I can't say it's 30 seconds, it's 3 seconds, it's 10 seconds. You just go, "I've got to wait for the audience, and then it's the right moment."
yeah.
But again, that only comes from doing, really.
Yeah, exactly. That's what comes from experience. That's why everything you've done, the Amjam stuff, the musical theatres, compare, everything has prepared you to be able to do that flawlessly.
Yeah, I do. I often do think, because I know a lot of people left the Demon Club and went into working in magic. Steve Majessa, we did a show with the other week, and Phil Blackmore, who we did down in Devon. They went off and worked into magic. I didn't. I went and worked in the bank, and I sit there going, "Oh, I wish I'd worked in magic." And I went, "Actually, no," because I found Berkshire Dramatic Society, I found Croydon Stages, I worked in all those theatres. I got all that stage time. I wouldn't have done that. I wouldn't be where I am now if I hadn't have done that in the first time around. So it's been great. But yeah, I had a lovely comment. I'm going to blow my own trumpet for once and mark this on the diary, because it doesn't happen very often. But I met Chris Wardle, at the recent IBM convention. I was crew and tech for the IBM convention. And I was running up the stairs to grab a drink, and he came past and went, "Hello, Wayne, how are you?" So I just want to say how fantastic. What you just said. He said that I've seen you perform 2 or 3 times, and you managed, and you've got that ability to hold the audience in your hand. He said, "Well done." He said, "It's really nice to see." And I was like, "Oh, thank you." And I sit there going, I wish I knew. I wish I knew. But to finish that section off, I don't, because I don't think I said it enough. I want to publicly say a huge thank you to Oliver Tabor for taking that chance in me, or for seeing what I can't see in me, and giving me all those opportunities. He had me compare. I mean, yeah, don't like magicians. You had me compare at his president's dinner. So again, walking out in front of it's just go, "You've all seen this. Join in. It'll be fine." But twisting it slightly to fit them. And he's given me so much performance time. I get a chance to I'll be part of a touring show, and so much other support, that if it wasn't for him, I don't know where I'd be, actually. So I want to publicly say a huge thank you to Oliver, because I probably don't say it enough.
He's a great guy, but
obviously,
listening to
he's
this
fantastic.
conversation, there is a small possibility that he just hates you and he wants to see you suffer over and over again.
I think that, well, it's one of those two. I think he values the show more, though. So I think you might just get a little tiny bit of thing out of it, that you go, "Yeah, I get a good show, and I get to see him suffer." Yeah,
that's funny. we should also, and yeah, Oliver is amazing. And if people are listening to this and they haven't checked out Oliver's interview, you should do that. That was about a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
His interview is amazing, and I still say to this day, one of my favorite acts of all time is his music act. It's
fantastic. It's amazing.
It's just perfect. You mentioned the Magic Circle. That's something that's happened to you recently.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question? Every time I've seen you at the Magic Circle, you're running around like a blue-arsed fly, normally carrying wires and a million other things. My question is why? Because you've got gigs that you have to do, you've got stuff that you have to do with West End Magic, you have a family, you have all of your comparing stuff, you have all of the stuff that you do, musicals and Amdram and so on and so forth. You're a busy guy, and then it's like, well, you know what? I'm not busy enough. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go and revitalize the tech department at the Magic Cat Circle. Where did that all come from?
I wouldn't say I was doing that. I'll just add on to that the musicals and Amdram and stuff doesn't exist anymore. I sit there going, right. I wish I could, because you, right. as a gigging magician, you can't go and do that because you just don't have the time for rehearsals, and you can't take 2 weeks or a week off to go and do shows, which is why I'm always sad. Anyway, so I had a bit of a tech background. I said to Megan when she was vice president, I said, I'll come and, if I ever get the what's-its to come and do it, I'll come and join the Magic Circle if I can, and I'll come and help on the tech team. And I think she said, right, well, we're doing a special deal at Blackpool, as they do often at Blackpool. She said, come and see me and we'll sort it out. So I said, fine. So I was at Blackpool. I think it was the one before COVID. Yeah, it was one before COVID. We had a big meeting.
They had one literally a month before lockdown.
It was literally the month, yeah. So we had Blackpool, West End Magic, and then the week after we were all locked down.
Yeah. Wow.
So literally I said, oh, Megan, I said, I must come over. And she literally grabbed me by the arm and went, come on, because she wanted people on the tech team. Fine. So got signed up. Thankfully, I know, because I've been in Magic for a long time, I know a lot of people. Demon Club again helped, so got in. Then COVID hit, so I did my interview on Zoom, which was fine, but I wanted to wait until I could go and do it in the room. I didn't want to do an on-camera audition. I wanted to put myself in my comfort zone, which is live entertainment, dealing with getting that feel of the audience and getting it and giving it back. And I did exactly what I did for IBM. I opened with my opener, closed with my close. Oh no, I didn't. I didn't do Black White Cow. So I opened with a crap gag, did Ring on Rope, Ambitious Card, which Preston Nyman slated us all for, and I'll tell you why he's wrong in a minute. And Ambitious Card, and then finished with Tournament Restored Newspaper. So I opened with my opener, closed with my closer, and stuck the trick that's got, and this is why I think it's one of the trick that gives you the most bang for your buck. Slight wise in the middle.
Oh, absolutely.
So I thought, I'll be down Ambitious Card. No one did Ambitious Card. No, we all did Ambitious Card. I think it just hit a bad night. But it was great. It was great. I had Faye Presto laughing, which is to this day I'm really pleased to say that I managed to get all, magicians laughing. I tailored the routine slightly to them, so I did a couple of references to stuff that you wouldn't give to a lay audience. But just did the standard stuff, and got in. Very delighted to say I got in. That's right. And then obviously went and helped with the tech, and there was at the time. So I think Henry was looking after the theatre, but they put streaming stuff in over lockdown, and David Agarwal, who was in charge of that, said, "Well, would you take over the streaming side?" I said, "Yeah, I'm more than happy to come and help out with that and do this." And that's where it went to. So I was literally there just to run the tech,
right? Okay.
Run the streaming. So make sure the Zoom's up and running, work out, do all that bit. And it had its teething troubles, as we know these things do. Tech is great until it isn't. Tech's great when it's working, rubbish when it isn't. And we had some issues, and we were working really hard to get stuff. I'm never sure how much. And perhaps I don't need to know, but I don't think people really appreciate just what has to go on to get that working. It's not like the Zoom today. It's just I've been playing around because I just realised I haven't turned on my Zoom stuff for months. So I suddenly went, oh, it doesn't work. Good, but that was fine. And then we had a situation just before Christmas where Henry had stepped down from theatre. He had some personal issues, I believe. I don't know that, so please don't quote me on that. But I think there was some issues going on, and we had some Christmas shows, and we had very little crew, if none. And I went, okay, I'll see what I can do, because it was just literally me and Henry at the time, just running the tech for the post-COVID sort of sessions. And that's not to take anything away from the guys that did all that stuff over COVID. They did an amazing job. I think Pete, James, and stuff and co did an amazing job putting all that together and getting it out. And so I called AJ, who I know from West End Magic, and he used to be at Tech at the Magic Circle. I said, I need a stage manager. I said, we need someone that can do that. Would you do it? Got him to do it. I had Kevin Dowie came back, and Stuart Kelly, myself, a new guy called Sid. I pulled my son in for a couple of days when people couldn't do, because it was all a bit last minute. And we got a show on the road. And we got it up. We got 16 performances, fully staffed, working to the best of our ability over Christmas. And that again, that just comes back to, there's no special training there. That just comes back to all the stuff I've done with the dramatic societies, just running those shows, stage managing, how it all works, etc. And I sort of got stuck with it, really, for want of a better phrase. And I enjoyed doing it. Don't get me wrong, I really did enjoy doing it. There were a few times when, I think it did start to get to me, because I'm a perfectionist. When it's not going right, I get upset. I don't like it, and especially when I don't mind things going wrong. But if I can't sort it out and I don't know what's causing it, it's like it just get. And I will be. Apologies if this was you out there watching this interview now, but there were a few times when members were being a little bit more forthright with their opinions about how good the stream was or how bad the stream was than I really feel they should do. I'm sitting there with two wires in my hand going, right, I need to plug these in somewhere to get that to work so I can put, and they're going, it's rubbish, this is awful, I can't hear. Why is it out? It's like, I'm trying to, I can't type a message to you to say we're working on it whilst I've got a screwdriver in my teeth, two wires out around the back of the cabinet. I don't think they realise that I'm not sat in front of I'm pulling stuff out of cabinets and cameras and having to run down to do mic, because the mic's on the stage, the tech box at the top, running down. There must be a groove in the back stairs at the Magic Circle with my footprints in the amount of times I went up and down those sodding stairs. And that does get slightly demoralising when, I love praise. Right, we all like praise, and it's lovely to get it. But I don't chase the praise. I'm not going, look at me, aren't I fantastic? But I don't like also if you're being told you're rubbish when you're you're just doing what you can to the best of your ability by people that don't understand, that are not there and don't know. Sorry, that's come across really harsh. It's a real privilege.
I totally understand, because also what people need to understand is you're not paid to do this. It's not like it's a paid position in the Magic Circle.
No, and I think that came up recently when I had my. I think that came up in big time when I had my final meltdown and said, "That's I've had enough." And I said, I've got to step away from my own sanity. My wife and a few other friends have said, like, you're spending all that time there. Are you being paid? No, I'm just doing it because we need to get it sorted. Well, that doesn't pay the wages, it doesn't pay the mortgage, whatever. And then a couple of things happened where actually on stage I was being told it was all rubbish. I'm sitting there going, well, my son was in the box. I'm just going, well, I'm sure we can hear it all right. And I'm being told it's rubbish and we're going to sort this out. And I just felt completely, I thought, do you know what? I can't deal with this anymore. I don't have the best mental health in the world. And that was just like the tipping point. I went, not dealing with this, not dealing with it. And so I had a bit of a meltdown on, which I'm not proud of, but I think I hope I put the points across okay, and so people understood what I was doing.
Your income is tied into performing, and for every day that you're worried and stressed about what's happening there, that's a day that's been taken away from building websites or marketing or gigging or whatever it may be. And it's fine if you're treated with respect, but if you're getting crap, for want of a better word, No, yeah, I totally get it.
Don't get me wrong. I mean, the Magic Circle's a fantastic organisation. It's like it's like the dramatic societies I used to belong to. There's always dramas going on behind the scenes. It always doesn't matter, It's just the way things are, and I understand that. But at the same time, I've got to focus on my own stuff and make sure that I'm right. Because if I'm not right, I can't do anything.
Yeah.
And I still help out, so I'm still going to be on the tech team. I just can't be the person in charge. I'm not the right, but I said I'm rubbish at admin. I'm not the right person to be in charge. But tell me there's a show going on and that we need to run this show. And I did that at the, I think the first convention that they did. Catherine Rhodes was really ill and had to leave.
Yeah, you did.
I think you were being asked to do stage manager. I think you were. Like, what?
And all I was there to do was look after Ryland because
Ryland. That's right.
I was there to look after Ryland, and people were like, "Can you do this?" I'm like, "Not really."
No. And I came down and went, "No, you need someone." I took charge. I probably just went, "No, it's all right. I'll do it."
Yeah.
Again, because I know what we're doing with stage stuff, so I can pick that up quickly. Thankfully. I mean, I hate this because it sounds like I'm going, look at me, I'm like, I'm not. I feel I'm rubbish, but I do know I'm doing that in that sense. And and we pulled it off. I think we had a great show. And it was great to great to be able to help out. But yeah, as it went on, it just got a bit too much, and it's lovely. It's the last couple of weeks I've been there, and I've not been in the tech box or running around. It's been nice to actually go, this is what it's like to be a member. Lovely. However, I do have to say that my profile has upped because of it.
Really?
So I've got that. I now talk to a lot of people that I do wonder if I would have spoken to that or be known by that many people if I hadn't have done that. And actually, so that's been really good for me. And my mental health, just go. I'm actually, there's some really nice guys here girls that I can go and talk to, and who know me and are happy to chat. And it's like, so that was a way of getting introduced into the society without having to be the bloke in the corner going, hello, I'm new. But I should also give a huge shout out to Sarah and David that ran the Apprentice Network, because during COVID they were that Apprentice Network that's running at the moment at the Magic Circle is a fantastic group, and they run it hugely well. So the people that are going through that before they take the exam, those two guys were fantastic. So I want to give them a huge shout out because they do amazing stuff. They're awesome. So that's sort of, did I answer your question? I think I got lost in the rant in the middle of it.
Yes, you did. So, which brings us kind of to present day, where you are now. So here's a question before we wrap all this up. What's your goals moving forward? Because I know that you're always kind of, not, I don't want to say you don't have an ego. You always kind of you've just said you kind of put yourself down sometimes, but from the outside looking in, and the reason that I wanted you on this channel, and I've said this before and I'll say it again, you've achieved so much. First of all, a lot of people wouldn't be able to be a full-time professional magician for as long as you have. There's so many people that become a full-time pro and then just leave and just go, well, actually, it's not for me. Your consistency, your longevity, your ability, you can put yourself into any situation, whether it be a close-up gig, a stage show, and you can absolutely boss it, comparing the same, the work that you did at the Magic Circle and the IBM with having that knowledge to be able to tech something. And let's not forget being a part of West End Magic, which is huge. Anybody watching this, let's just put that into context for a minute, me included, anybody watching this that would, if you said, would you like to have a chance to be the official compere for a West End Magic show that tours the UK, just that.
No.
Just that. It's insane. Like, it's absolutely mental. You've achieved so much, but also on the flip side, you said, hey, I'm still not out of the woods. Yeah. What's your goals moving forward? Is there something that you want to achieve that you haven't done yet? Is there something on your magical bucket list that you want to do? Or are you happy with the way things are going and you just want to carry on? Where are you now?
I want to get more So I need to personally realise, and I think this has been fantastic doing this interview. Thank you. Um, and I think I said it off. I can't remember if I said it off the record before we started or after. When I say it now, I still can't believe. Looking at the people that you've interviewed, and I'm now here. So I don't, my head is going. This will get, this will be in the bin later. It'll be fine. Anyway, but anyway, also there's another thing now. I also think that helps with my onstage persona. That slightly self um deferential, that I can't think of the words,
self-depreciating sort of thing.
Self-deprecating, that's it. When I come out, I'm putting myself down for gags, and I think that really helps people that come and go, look at me, aren't I fantastic? You will build a barrier. Whereas I come out and go, no, I'm rubbish, me, that I do this, and it's me 200 hours community service and what have you. But that really helps. That then gives me the chance to go and to then be cheeky to them.
Yeah.
I'll get away with that. So anyway, my goals going forward, I think I love doing what I call the AV stuff. So running the tech for the conferences, it's easy work. It's just very long days. So last week, every day last week, I was up at 4:30 to make sure I was out by 25 past 5, to make sure that I was on site by 7. Sitting there running the conference, don't have to do much doing that. It's nice work. Dealing with, again, it's dealing with people generally. It's dealing with the presenters, getting their PowerPoints in place and make sure it's, just being the face of the AV team.
Yeah.
But I know that I could earn what I earned in a week doing that, with all those early starts, what have you. I could earn a gig if I really worked out how to market it and go forward. So I think that's the goal. I'm happy to do the AV stuff because, I say, I like doing it. I like the company that we do it for. So there's an external AV company, but they have a big contract with another company, and I've known that company for a long time, and know a lot of the people. So it's really nice to go and do that with them. But I'd really like to focus. I realise I need to focus more on the magic again. So I go through stages. So when I hit the Amtram stuff, the magic took a back seat. It was always there, but it wasn't my primary focus. Then it came back into focus doing when I became pro, and then it's sort of after COVID, it's sort of taking the back seat again a little bit because of the AV stuff. That's what pulls money, and it's coming back in again with the West End Magic Show and the compound, what have you. So I need to get my focus back on there and learn how to market that bit that I can't. That is that intangible bit where you can walk on stage and engage with people from all levels easily, generally.
Yeah.
That's not to say I haven't been an arse in the past. There's a couple of people here that I've met and I've been a complete arse to when I was going through some other issues, and I apologise to those people. I didn't mean it. It was just those times. But generally, I'm an okay guy that tries to be as nice as I can to people and just crack on.
I've known you for a long time, and you've always come across as just super awesome. And
I should give you a shout out as well. Actually, a big thank you to you, because there was we've obviously known of you for a long time beforehand. Then we met through for the networking group, and you were one of the first people who I would have looked up to. Was releasing stuff to the community, was a great magician, was doing etc. And you were one of the first people that we met at a conference, and you came and said, right, let's go and grab a coffee. And you came and sat down opposite me and said, right, what can I do? How can I help? This is what you need to do. And you actually took the time out to do that. And I've watched you. I've not always been your biggest fan. I'll be completely honest, but I've seen the way you handle yourself now, and I've seen the way you do. And I am now one of your biggest fans. I'm watching you with Ryland as well, and getting Ryland to come up. Is hang on 2 seconds. Change the earpieces. Tell the audio. Oh, there we go. So flicked it back in. I'm watching with Ryland, and seeing how Ryland's developed and stuff. I mean, he has a lot of stuff for 15 minutes. Don't get me wrong. I remember watching the IBM going, sorry, is he doing the show? Sorry. What? But yeah. However, to see the presence and the craft. I mean, if you ever want any help or stuff with that, with my years of experience, if I can give any, please come, just ask. but he seems to be doing well enough on his own at the moment, to be fair. And with you behind him, and I think that's been great. So yeah, thank you for all you've done, and you've always been, always said I'm on the end of a phone,
Yeah.
and it's been really, I think you need a shout out and a thank you as well as for that. So there you go.
Thank you so much. Well, like I said, look, I think that there's going to be a lot of people that have watched this that are going to have found this interview inspirational, genuinely. And I know you're probably going to think you're talking crap, but I'm genuinely not. This has been an amazing interview. It's been one of my favorites to do. I've been wanting to get you on here for a long time. And I just know that you're going to carry on being successful. Every time I've seen you perform, and I genuinely mean this, I've seen very few magicians that can do what you do. And I'm talking about the greats in magic as well. I've seen so many people that walk out on stage and they struggle to connect. And you connect immediately to every audience you put in front of, whether it's a workshop with like kids or whether it's you say that you're not great in front of magicians, but I've watched you at the IBM walk out and grab every magician's attention, and you'd thought about it. I could tell because there were gags in there for magicians. You thought about how to do that, and it's a skill that's going to carry you really far. And you've already achieved a lot. Like I say, I think sometimes it's important to step back and actually look and go, this is what I do. I think most of the magic community would wish they were in a situation that you're in. And you've got that thing that very few magicians have got, which is a loving wife that understands and supports you. And I'm just as lucky in that situation. And there's a lot of magicians that aren't. And, you've got that as well. So I just know that you're going to carry on being successful, whatever you choose to do. I know that West End Magic's going to carry on being successful. And Oliver is not a stupid person. And, the fact that he's chosen you to be the Robin to his Batman or the Penfold to his Danger Mouse or whatever he might be.
I like that. I like that.
That just speaks volumes. It really does. So genuinely, congratulations with everything you've done and everything that you're going to carry on doing. And thank you so much for coming on the channel, because this has been an incredible interview.
Mate, thank you so much for asking me. I think I said it off the record. I'll say it on record that it was like, I still couldn't quite understand why you wanted to talk to me. I hope people have enjoyed the interview. Thank you so much for all the kind words you've said to me, Craig. It's been, and for your help over the years, as I said. I've enjoyed every minute of it. I can't believe it's been that long. But I'm the man with the gob, obviously.
Yeah, you are. And it's interesting. Although you're still about 2.5 hours from reaching Sean Farquhar levels. That was like...
okay, yeah, no, I've got other things to do. I'm a busy man. I've got posters to... Do you know I'm in a show? I've got posters to distribute. I mean, goodness sakes, man.
That's amazing. I want everyone that's watched this interview to do 2 things. First of all, leave a comment down below. And Wayne will see the comments, let him know what you thought of the interview. But also, more importantly, if you're in the UK, go and check out West End Magic. It's one of the best magic shows I've ever seen. They have, obviously, Wayne comparing every show. Oliver Tabor is part of every single show, but then they have guest acts every month as well. And so you always have something different, something unique, something eclectic. So go check out West End Magic. But more importantly, leave a comment down below. And Wayne, one more time, on behalf of everyone that's watched this interview, thank you so much.
Thank you, Craig, for having me. It's been a blast.
You rock, man. Guys, do me a favor, leave a comment down below. On behalf of Wayne Trice, thank you for joining us at this interview. I'll be back next Saturday with another interview and with another video tomorrow. I'll see you again soon. My name's Craig from Magic TV.